Sure. All right. I'm super excited to tell you about a program that a lot of you buyers may not know about. Want to buy a house? Maybe you don't have the down payment saved up yet. Larry Ulsh, my favorite mortgage lender, has a program where you actually get get a gift almost of a down payment, and you don't have to pay interest on it or pay it back until you sell the home. So if you don't have a down payment and you're looking to buy, this might be the program from you. Larry, go ahead and take it away. Tell us a little bit about this program.
Well, thanks, Nathan. I appreciate the opportunity to speak about this. This is truly a brand new program, just broke about 2 weeks ago. They've been talking about doing it since mid last year and finally got the funding and everything squared away. So it is a brand new program. It is down payment assistance. It's just different than most programs that we normally use that have what's called a silent second, and you have to pay interest on it. Sometimes there's a grant involved, but this one is completely different. So, I'd like to go ahead and just show you maybe a quick little slideshow on what that looks like.
Yeah.
So people can kind of get a good idea as to how it works. So let me go ahead and pull this up. Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. All right. So
Okay.
take three, California Dream for All, and you get the down payment, it looks like, and you don't have to pay it back till you sell the house. So tell us how that works.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is a down payment assistance program for first-time homebuyers, and it's used in conjunction with a first mortgage, and you can use this shared appreciation loan, as we call it, for down payment and closing costs, or a combination of both. But yeah, you're right. Upon sale or transfer of the home is when the home buyer repays the original down payment loan plus a share of the appreciation in the value of the home. And that's what's different about this program, because typically the other programs you pay an interest rate, and it's very similar to the first mortgage. This one has a flip to it in the sense that it doesn't require that. And so the borrower requirements on this one, you have to be a first-time home buyer, and the definition of that is somebody that hasn't owned a home in the last 3 years.
Oh.
So it doesn't mean you couldn't have owned a home ever. It's just the last 3 years. And there is home buyer education included in this program as well. So we talked about, are you a first-time home buyer? You are if you haven't owned a home in the last 3 years. The buyer education, there's 2 different programs that you have to go through on this one. What's nice is only one of the borrowers has to do it. So if you have 2 or 3 borrowers and they're all first-time home buyers, only the occupying first-time home buyer needs to do it. So both programs are online. The education is online. One is the eHomes 8-hour home buyer education, and this is kind of required on all Cal HAFA loans anyway. And it's really good because it just gives you a good idea what you're getting into when you're buying a house, because there's a lot of moving parts to it. So this is a really good way to get prepared to buy. And then the other one is they have an online education for the Dream for All program specifically, because like I said, it is a little different in how it works. And so yes, the Dream for All loan provides 20% of the home purchase price. So if you're buying a house for $400,000, you could actually get down payment assistance up to $100,000. And that's different too, because most other programs only allow 3.5% of the first mortgage amount as down payment assistance, whereas this allows much more.
All right. So I'm just trying to follow along with the math. And so 20% of a $400,000 purchase is 80,000, right?
Yeah, 20% of 500,000 is what I was thinking. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, $200,000 purchase, 20%. Yeah, it's the new math. Yeah, exactly. So that's correct. So if you're buying a house for $500,000, 20% would be 100,000, and then the first mortgage would be at 80% LTV, loan to value of the purchase. So that would be $400,000.
So that'd be 400, and then they just make monthly payments based on the 400, right?
Exactly. There's no payments required on the Dream for All second mortgage, the
Okay.
silent second. So in this case, you would have 80% covered by the first mortgage, 20% by the second, which equals 100% of the purchase price. So all you need to do is to come up with the closing costs.
Okay. And what are the average closing costs for this? Is it any more or less than a regular purchase?
Yeah, it's the closing costs in this program are going to be a little bit more. I have an example here.
Okay.
Again, purchase price $500,000. First mortgage covers 80% of the price, and the second covers 20%. And of course, this is just an estimate because we don't really know the details. This is just a kind of a good educated guess estimate of $12,000 would be the closing costs on this
Okay.
particular transaction.
Okay. So the buyer does have to have a little bit of money to cover the closing costs, but they don't need 100,000. So I'm looking at this example. It's almost like they're getting 100,000 free to get that principal amount down to 400,000. Then they just come in with, like, escrow, title fees, those little closing costs that are pretty much on every transaction, and boom, they're into a home, and they don't have to. I mean, it might take a long time for some buyers to save up 100 grand to get 20% down. So this is kind of nice. I like this. Tell me more.
Yeah. Going to the next slide, this is kind of a hypothetical example of what could happen with this program.
Okay.
And so what we're doing is we're looking 10 years down the line. We're assuming that the property appreciated 3% per year.
Okay.
And if that's the case, on this example, your first mortgage would have been paid down to approximately $336,000, $950. And the Dream for All second, of course, there's no payments on it, so that amount doesn't change. What we do is we take the $671,950, which is the price that you're getting for your house that you're selling it, and you minus from that what you paid for it, the $500,000. And whatever that figure is, you times it by 20%, and that's what the equity participation you would have to pay back to Cal Halfa would be.
So let me just stop you there. I want to make sure I understand, and my buyers that may be looking at this understand. So they pay back the original 100,000, and then instead of paying interest on that all those years, the Dream second, they just say, well, give me 20% of the upside, basically, how much the house appreciated. So you pay a little bit back to them. So you're paying back, in this example, 134,390, right?
Correct.
And you got to use that 100,000 for 10 years straight. And then and 3%, by the way, it's probably very conservative. That's probably the minimum we're going to see per year appreciation. Of course, we don't have a crystal ball, but that's a very conservative estimate. So in this case, then they sell the house, and after they pay back the second and the equity participation, they're putting roughly 200,000 in change in their pocket. And of course, that doesn't allow for other closing costs or things like that. Is that am I reading that right?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. So that figure of 200,000 is obviously before the cost to sell the home. This is just talking about the mortgages against the property and the equity participation feature.
Nice.
And this is just 10 years out. Obviously, you can sell the home at any time. Whenever you sell it, the price that you're selling it for would be the baseline. Figure out what equity participation would be available to Cal Halfa, if any. I mean, if you sold your house the next year for some reason and you fetched what you bought it for, there would be no monies to Cal Halfa except for the principal loan amount.
Okay. So you can sell it any time. There's no requirement to keep it for a certain period.
No.
All right.
You can refinance too. Yeah, refinance it would be the same scenario. If you refinance it, they would go off the appraised value, off your appraisal that your lender would require for the refinance.
I really like this. I can't do this. So if I'm already a homeowner, I can't use this program because I'd love to buy another property using somebody
Yeah.
else's $100,000. That's a great deal, isn't it? Or am I missing something? All right, proceed, Larry. Is there a purchase price limit while you're pulling up the next screen there, Larry? Uh-oh. Did you lose me, Larry? Nope. There's Larry.
Okay. I don't know what happened.
I don't know either. We're just having a banner of a day, aren't we?
Yeah, it's tough. I don't know what's going on.
So let me let's dive a little bit into some of the maybe the parameters or restrictions on that, because I know a lot of people watching this are going to go, yeah, what's the catch? So I know you mentioned that you can't make too much money on this. Is there an upper limit as to how much you can make and still qualify for the program?
Yeah, so each county has a limitation as to how much you can make, the household income. So it just differs from county to county. So once you apply, we just, first of all, look and see how much you make. We qualify your income, and then we compare it to the matrices on the income
Do you
requirement.
know offhand, like let's say LA County or maybe Orange County, you know about what that income limit is?
Yeah, good question. So I know of San Bernardino Riverside County because I've been doing a lot of pre-quals for the program. There is $160,000.
Okay, so
Um,
160, that, I mean, that's still a pretty good amount of income. We have a lot of clients that, they make good money, but it's again, it's sometimes it's hard to save, especially 20%. So this might be an option for somebody that you're making 160 a year, just haven't saved up the down payment. Now you can get in the game and buy something. So here's the other question. I know people are gonna ask me, is the interest rate like just crazy high on this program? I mean, why wouldn't somebody
yeah,
do this?
uh, that's a good question. The interest rates are not crazy high on this program because the way the second is structured, obviously there's no interest that would have to be absorbed by the first mortgage, which is typically how these programs work. They overprice the first mortgage to fund the second mortgage essentially. And so that's not the case with this program. So the rates are very, very competitive. I'm not sure what reason one would have for not doing it. Obviously you're sharing in your equity, so maybe some people would have pause for that, but I'm not sure, otherwise why one wouldn't consider it.
Okay, yeah, but if it took me 5 years to save up 100,000, in that 5 years, I could be making money, leveraging that free down payment, if you will. It's not really free, but and benefit from 80% of the upside. So even though
Absolutely.
you're paying them a little, they're getting a little piece of the action, so to speak. They're getting 20%. But keep in mind, you're still keeping 80%. You're keeping the bulk of that, and you didn't have to make payments the entire time you're living in the home. You didn't have to pay on that 100,000. And you said the interest rates are pretty competitive to other conventional mortgages out there. Here's the other thing. Do you have to have just perfect credit to qualify for this? Or is it just like a regular conventional loan where there's some leeway in there?
Yeah. Well, it's very much like a normal conventional loan. I think that the credit scores they require are a little bit higher than conventional, but not much. So I don't see that as being an obstacle for most people.
I like that. I like that. So if I have a client or somebody watching this reaches out to me, we can just put them in touch with you. And can you qualify somebody basically over the phone? I mean, is it I know there's probably an extra step because we're going through a CalHFA program. I'm sure they want to get their eyes on it. But what are we looking at time-wise from the times somebody says, hey, I'm interested in a program, tell me if I qualify, till they say, okay, yeah, you're qualified, now you can go shop for a home? And I know that can change. That's kind of a loaded question because this market, everything's changing. But right now, I mean, is it like it really long? Are we talking like 6 weeks, or are we just talking a few extra days?
Yeah, great question. So we have a pre-approval process for this, where with credit report and income documentation and asset information, we can do a pre-approval within 24 hours, generally fairly easily.
Okay.
Because again, the program really mirrors conventional underwriting guidelines. The only true difference, besides just a couple of things, is the fact that there's a silent second mortgage. That's really the only difference.
That's the only
So
difference.
yeah, we have to look at the income as we talked about to make sure it doesn't exceed the caps that they have, and a couple other things. So it's very, very easy to pre-approve somebody. How we do it is we just have them generally take an online application if they're comfortable with that, or we can do something over the phone as well.
Okay. And here's kind of a side question. I get this a lot too. Everybody's been they're like, oh, don't run my credit because I don't want it to hurt my FICO. But correct me if I'm wrong, but you as a lender, you have a way to kind of initially pull a credit without having kind of a hard inquiry on their credit report, which might negatively affect their FICO. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. We it's called a soft pull, and we use that quite a bit. If somebody isn't necessarily ready to dive in yet, it's just kind of feeling out the process with this program and really all programs, honestly. So yeah, we can run what's called a soft pull, get their FICO scores. It's not a full credit report. It can't be used in underwriting, but it definitely can be used for us to give an idea of what they could qualify for and what their credit score looks like.
Okay, that's excellent. So I have a lot of buyers that kind of been holding back because they really don't have a lot saved up. This sounds like a no risk thing. There's no obligation, right? I mean, we could put them in touch with you. You could do the soft pull, which doesn't affect their FICO. And then basically within 24 hours, we could see if they're a candidate for this program or maybe another program. And I think I know the answer to the question, but there's no obligation. You don't take any fees or anything like that to find out, right?
No, there's no upfront fees. The only time one would pay an upfront fee is when they're in escrow and we have to order an appraisal. But other than that, there's nothing upfront at all. There's no credit report fees or application fees or anything like that. The only thing I would, encourage people to do is, if this sounds interesting, to give you a call, give me a call to discuss it, because CalHFA doesn't have unlimited funding for this program.
Ah, there's the catch. So this is kind of a time of the essence if they want to go on this program.
Absolutely. They said that up front, that there's limited funds. And frankly, if we have a normal buying season in the summer, like we expect, it could be consumed fairly quickly.
So this pool of funds that the CalHFA has set aside for this program obviously could dry up pretty quick. So while supplies last, kind of thing.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, that's great. That's really exciting news. So I can't tell you how many people I talk to on a daily basis. They're like, yeah, I really love to buy. I'm just making my landlord rich. And I got a little bit saved up, but I don't really have more than maybe, a few thousand, like you said, 12,000 in this scenario. A lot of people can put together that kind of money, but to come up with like a full 20%, which I know is not necessary for every purchase, but I mean, that's huge because then your monthly payment is going to be that much lower by putting that 20% down that you're not paying on. I love this. I think this is a no-brainer, on that. So I'm going to put your contact information down in the links here when we get to it, mine as well. So if anybody wants to reach out to us to maybe learn more about this program or take Larry up on his no cost, no obligation, just run the numbers, and they don't even have to come into your office. They can just answer some questions with you on the phone, online, and it sounds like within 24 hours you can give them an answer if they qualify, and they would go to the next step. So Larry, I know you're a busy guy, and I appreciate you taking the time for this little interview here. Hopefully we can do some more with you. I apologize to our viewers for the technical difficulties. Hopefully in the next one we'll get that sorted out. So thanks again for watching, and I'll talk to everybody soon.